Hey everybody, so welcome to another What's on the Shelf, and we're now on part 33. So on the shelf we have Race to Adventure, Near and Far the Amber Mines, Dice and Dragons, JustOne, The Legend of Novus, and Codenames. So the first one is Race to Adventure. I'm not sure where I bought this game. Seems to me that it was part of a lot that I had gotten, so there was multiple different games. I had never heard anything from this game at all, so and I did play it, and then actually I've realized that this one also came with an expansion called Dino Eclipse or Hollow Hearth. I think I've watched how to play that one, but I haven't played with the expansion yet. So the way that this game plays is each player gets a passport, and you all start on the tower, and you got to go around the map. And you can so each round there's 6 cards that you can pick from, and you'll select a card that you want to do for the action, and you take turn picking the card. So maybe you're hoping to do the Zeppelin, but somebody else takes it, so you have to take the biplane instead, or the clue, or the map. So there's different things that you can do. 3 of the cards allows you to move around the map. So you'll be kind of going around collecting clues, trying to do different things at the different location, and once you accomplish that, you get a stamp in your passport. And you're trying to get access to all of the stamps and make it back to the tower to be the winner. This game was really interesting. It's a fairly simple, straightforward game to play, but it was really neat. And then with the expansion, what that does is it adds an underground element to it. So there'll be a couple of locations that gives you access to like caves, I guess, that you can kind of travel through, and then you can kind of come back up somewhere else in the map. It was a neat game. It almost kind of reminds me a bit of like Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego. You're traveling, trying to do these things, and then making it back. So it was really neat. Next one I have is Near and Far Amber Mines. So I really like Near and Far. Near and Far is very much of a story-driven map exploring game. Like, you have this book that every page in the book is a different map you can play. And I've enjoyed that one, and then you kind of go around doing different actions, and depending on what you do, what you decide, what happens, and what you'll get, and different things like that. So the Amber Mines is the expansion for that game, and I have no idea what it does because I have never played it yet. This is a list of all the different things that it adds. So I'm hoping to play this one soon because it does look neat, and Near and Far is great. Next one I have is Dice and Dragon. Dice and Dragon is a roll and write game. And this one is really interesting because it's a little bit campaign style, and it really reminds me of How to Train a Dragon, but before they like the dragon, so like the first 15 minutes of that TV show. So you are part of a Viking village, and your village is under attack by dragons all the time. And you are going around trying to defeat and capture these dragons, and you start with the easier dragons, but there are harder and harder dragons that you'll be getting access to. Depending on who you are, you'll roll the dice and you'll be able to activate different attacks. But depending on what you roll, you might be activating the dragon's attack as well, or counter attack, and kind of keep that in mind. I have played this game a few times, and it's very neat, but it was hard. And a couple of times I was like trying to get my collection under control and suggesting we get rid of some, and I would be like, well, maybe this one, should we get rid of this one? And I've been vetoed every time. So the kids, although they haven't played it tons and tons, really don't want to get rid of this one. I've laminated a couple of sheets, so I'm kind of playing with the dry erase markers, but because you get a pad of paper, but there's so many different dragons. There's a few sheets of each of the dragons. So if you get this one, I would recommend laminating if you can, because there's only a few of each dragons. But it's a cooperative game. You're all playing together towards defeating this same dragon, and then in between, after you're done, you get gold, you can kind of upgrade your character and try to go back into battle a little bit stronger. It was definitely a neat one as far as roll and writes go, and like I said, it so reminds me of the How to Train a Dragon theme before you know, they were trying to save the dragons anyways. Next one I have is JustOne. JustOne is such a neat, simple party game to play that just so far, as every time I've played it, it's appealed to everybody. So with this one is everybody gets this little plastic tent thing, and you can write on it with a dry erase marker, and there's a little lip on the one side. So you take turn being the active player, and when it's your turn, you pick a card, and without looking at the card, you put it in front of you facing out so that everybody can see your card. And on there, there's 5 words, and you'll pick a number between 1 and 5, and it'll kind of select one of the words. So when everybody knows which word you have, everybody has to write on their little plastic tent a single word clue to try to get you to guess what your word is. Now, the tricky thing with it is you want to be straightforward enough that your clue will kind of hint as to what the word is, but not so common that other people give the same clue, because if there's any duplicates, those clues are erased. So you want to keep it unique, but that it makes sense, and it's definitely an interesting one. Now, in this particular picture, we had Lethbridge, we had gust, the word was wind. Lethbridge is a city in Alberta that's always very windy, and so it's just a very fun, neat game. Next one I have is Legend of Novus. Legend of Novus actually is published right here in Alberta, in the next community over in Olds. The creator of that game lives in Olds, and I've played this one when it was in its prototype stage a few times, and it was published by Fundamental Games. And it was neat. I had never played a game quite like this. Now, in high school, I was a big fantasy novel reader. I loved them. And this kind of takes that and makes it into a game, and I hadn't played anything like it before. What's neat is you have your character, you kind of select who you want to be, and depending on who you are, where your hometown is on the map, and you have kind of special benefit from being in that area. And you'll go around exploring the map, going into different cities or towns, and every time you're there, you might encounter battles, and then you'll be doing battles, or you'll go to the market and you'll find different items. And what's really neat is you'll find items, and sometimes the items doesn't pertain to you. It's not something that you yourself can utilize based on who you are. But if you can't use it, it has a gold value to it, so you can sell it in the market to collect gold and purchase different things. And if it is an item that you can utilize, well, you have your player board there, and it shows if it's you know, something that you can put over your chest, or if it's something that you would hold with your hand, and you have space for 2 hands, unless it's a double, like a sword that would require 2 hands, or an axe where you would require 2 hands and it would take both. And if it's like something that you can put on your feet, or like, it's so neat. I love how it all comes together. It's so a wonderful fantasy theme to it that I hadn't come across a game yet, and it really is, you're going out on an adventure. Really love it. You're collecting experience point, and when you reach a certain level, or the first one to reach a certain level kind of triggers the end of the game. It's great. I really enjoy this game, and I have my own copy, so then now it's great. The next one I have is Codenames, and Codenames is another party game. So with this one is you have a bunch of different cards that forms a grid that have words on it. And you play on teams, so there's 2 teams, and 1 player per team is going to be the clue giver. And you'll have kind of a card that's the map of which words are your words that you try to get your teams to guess. The other team has different words they're trying to guess. And you're going to give a clue with however many words that you think would pertain to it. So maybe it's like, and you're looking at what you got there, and you'd be like, okay, well, animal 3, and then they'll try to guess which one they are, and maybe like B is on there, and they're like, oh, B, and it's like, darn it, didn't think of bee as an animal for some reason, and so it's interesting. I find with this one, the first time you play it kind of takes a bit to get yourself thinking that way, and it could be a little bit tricky to come up with a clue, and you're trying to get a clue that'll kind of give as many words as possible, but sometimes it'll be like, I don't know, just give a one-word clue for one, something that's kind of fairly obvious. But this one has been well received, and what's neat with this one, because it is a team party game, I often have people that be like, no, I don't want to play. It's like, okay, and you get started and they can jump in just as easy, because often they do. That's my stepdad. Every time we'll do party games, no, I don't want to play games, I don't like games. Like, okay, yeah, no worries. And we'll start playing, and he starts shouting answers and kind of getting involved anyways. So this is a neat party game for that. And that was it for this cubby. So if you want to follow me on Facebook, my group is Disbury and Area is playing all the games. I am also on Instagram as BoardGame_Mama, and my YouTube channel is Board Game Mama. So stay tuned to see what next is coming up on the shelf. And yeah, it'll be pretty excited. I think I'm coming to the end of this big shelf, and we'll be moving toward the other smaller shelves. So we'll see you soon.